Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
A multi-billion-dollar trade war between the White House and Beijing is escalating tonight. Good evening, I'm Lindsay Pena.
And I'm Steve Atkinson. A single tweet from President Trump about increasing tariffs on Chinese imports sent the Dow plunging more than 600 points. Our reporter John Horn is joining us now. This all played out in just a matter of hours.
And it began with the president taking to Twitter. This morning, he, quote, ordered American companies to seek alternatives to doing business with China, the world's second largest economy. It's unclear whether he has the authority to do that, but what is clear, the president can impose more tariffs, and he announced plans to do just that Friday afternoon. President Trump taking the ongoing trade war with China to a new level Friday. The president, quote, ordering U.S. companies to seek alternatives to doing business with China, saying the country continues to take advantage of Americans.
China is paying for the tariffs for the 100th time.
His tweet came after China announced it would impose tariffs on $75 billion of American goods.
The president has been trying to pressure China into some sort of deal regarding that. And as a result, this tariff war has broken out.
Then Friday afternoon, the president announced increased tariffs on Chinese imports, impacting $550 billion of goods and products. University of San Diego economist Alan Gin says consumers could feel the increase as the holidays approach. Americans buy clothes and toys that are made in China, where labor is cheaper. The New York Fed estimates the current level of tariffs are costing the typical American household more than $800 a year. Plus, the Chinese tariffs on U.S. imports could also hit the American job market.
But now tariffs being put on U.S. goods, which will raise the price in China, which would slow our exports then to China.
It's unclear whether the president can order companies to stop doing business with China. Congressman Scott Peters, a Democrat, told 10 News the idea is unrealistic.
And this notion that our companies are going to stop doing business with the second largest economy in the world is just preposterous. It's kind of nutty.
It also can't happen overnight. You just saw some video of Qualcomm there, based in San Diego. They have 14 offices in China, where the company helped develop 3G and 4G technology. Alan Gin, the economist in our story, estimated it would take about 18 months for a company to completely move out of China. Qualcomm stock, by the way, fell nearly 5% today.
All right, so we have big business here in California. In fact, we have a larger GDP than most countries. How can this hurt us?
You said it best. We have the 5th largest economy in the world, and we do a lot of business with China. I have some numbers for you. In 2018, we imported $161 billion in goods from China. That's 37% of what we bring in. So T-shirts, toys, clothes, all those things. But also remember, we also export, and we're talking about movies, machinery, and everything in between. And so there's a lot there. Those numbers I got from Lynn Reeser at Point Loma. She says she's sounding the alarm if this were to escalate even more.
It's a worldwide economy now.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thank you, John.
You bet.
Well, new details are emerging about a joyride involving a stolen FedEx truck. Police found the truck around 11 this morning near 43rd and Alpha Street in Southcrest and took a parolee into custody. 10 News reporter Jennifer De La Cruz is joining us. And Jen, the FedEx employee was making a delivery when that truck was stolen.
Yeah, Lindsay, police say the FedEx driver got out to deliver a package, and that's when the man who was out on parole saw a perfect opportunity. They tell me he even stole some of those packages and dropped them off at an address on Logan Avenue before they caught up to him and arrested him right here. A quick delay in deliveries for FedEx today. Police say the man in the back of this squad car stole a delivery truck near Lincoln Park. They say the engine was left running while the driver was dropping off a package.
He saw his vehicle driving away.
For about 20 minutes, the suspect rode around with parcels piled in the back. About a 2-mile drive to Southcrest, and he wasn't hard to find.
White FedEx truck with FedEx all over the label.
In handcuffs, peeking out of the patrol car at our cameras.
Every day is different, and you never know what you're going to see.
A woman who also works for FedEx watched it all unfold.
For that guy to be stealing that truck is hard because we have cameras inside the cars.
She didn't want to show her face, but she says the company is always watching.
The contractor for that truck has all the movements that we do. So they know who was driving the trucks once he got inside the truck.
From the front of a FedEx truck to the back of a squad car.
He must be really dumb to be doing that stuff because you don't play around with FedEx no more.
And that suspect was booked into jail this afternoon. Police tell me they are working on recovering those stolen packages. Reporting live, Jennifer Dela Cruz, 10 News.
Thank you, Jennifer. A United flight scheduled to take off from Lindbergh Field today was grounded due to an engine issue. The flight bound for Denver was getting ready for takeoff when the pilot reported that issue happened. The pilot pulled the plane off the runway and into a taxi lane. Several San Diego fire trucks followed the plane as it taxied back to the terminal. There were roughly 120 passengers on board. All of them returned to the gate safely and were deplaned. A
fire at Kit Carson Park in Escondido today locked down a couple of schools before fire crews stomped it out. That fire briefly locked down San Pascual High School and L.R. Green Elementary while trucks were responding. According to Escondido Fire, the burn reached about 2 acres, with forward progress stopped at around 80% containment. No injuries were reported and no structures were threatened. The cause, though, is under investigation.
Turning now to our weather, you can enjoy the cool down while it lasts because we're in for another warm up. Temperatures are going to jump this weekend. Our meteorologist Angelica Campos has been telling us about this, getting ready for it all weekend. Yeah,
that's right. Today just kind of like the nicest day of the week, the cherry on top if you're enjoying a Sunday over the weekend. But tomorrow temperatures are going to be heating up, and already we've seen that jump in some parts of the county, including our inland communities where temperatures have risen anywhere from 2 to 4 degrees. I'll show you. This is what the temperatures look like right now. 85 degrees in Ramona, mid 70s in Kearney Mesa, and 75 in San Diego, which is actually really nice. But in comparison to 24 hours ago, almost 10 degrees warmer. Expect temperatures to be even higher this weekend, and the humidity also going up.
Angelica, thank you. Now to a crime alert. The FBI is looking for this man who stole cash from 2 different banks on 2 different days. Now, he's accused of robbing a Wells Fargo bank today in La Mesa. That bank is located inside the Bonds on University Avenue. He pretended to be talking on his phone while demanding money from a teller and then threatened to shoot up the place if he didn't get that money. That man ran away after receiving an unknown amount of cash. He is also wanted for robbing a U.S. bank located on El Cajon Boulevard back on August the 15th. Anyone with information is asked to call San Diego Crime Stoppers. And there is new information about a driver who was stopped by CHP officers for going the wrong way on the I-5 in the South Bay. That scene unfolded just after about 5 o'clock this morning on 8th Street in National City. Our 10 News reporter Mimi Alcala explains why officers released the man.
CHP officers tell me the man will not be charged with a crime. They describe him as being disoriented while driving northbound in the southbound lanes here on the 5 freeway around 5:20 this morning. Most importantly, though, no one was hurt. Video from our 10 News breaking news tracker shows the moment CHP officers were finally able to stop that man on the 5 freeway near 8th Street. They used their patrol units with lights flashing, driving directly in front of him while running a traffic brake. This caused the man to stop immediately. Officers rushed to his car. A sergeant on scene told me that the man started driving northbound in the southbound lanes on the 5 freeway from Via de San Isidro before he was finally stopped about 10 miles away. Officers handcuffed him briefly but ended up removing the cuffs. They tell me he was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol but was disoriented, confused about what was going on and why he was being pulled over. CHP officers ordered a driver re-examination and drove the man back to their station where he was to be picked up by his wife. I spoke with Jim Gleason, a driving instructor who works with seniors. He tells me sometimes when he gets an elderly client who needs to have their driving reevaluated, it's due to cognitive issues. They aren't able to think things clearly like they once were. Many times it's early signs of dementia and results in a driver's license being revoked. He says some clients he sees are ordered to get reevaluated after a law enforcement officer spots them doing something illegal, like swerving into other lanes or driving on the wrong side of the road or crashing into buildings. And I'm told drivers in situations like this may have their license revoked or are ticketed, but they're rarely charged with a crime. Reporting in National City, Mimi Alcala, 10 News.
There is fresh fallout in the wake of a series of high-profile scandals involving Navy SEALs. Tonight, the Navy says it's looking to crack down on SEALs they say have, quote, drifted from Navy core values of honor, courage, and commitment. Those recent scandals include allegations of drug use and sexual assault. In a memo obtained by CNN, a top commander is calling for changes, including reinforcing that SEALs should be loyal to the Navy and country first before loyalty to other SEALs. He also says the Navy will start banning the wearing of unofficial unit insignia and will conduct routine inspections. Also, they will put on hold a growing existing SEAL teams, saying they will focus on quality, not quantity.
A teenage girl from New Zealand with the measles went to Disneyland and other popular locations, possibly exposing others. According to the Orange County health offices, on August the 12th, this young girl went to Disneyland and California Adventure. People who were possibly exposed should be aware of symptoms of fever and rash. Those symptoms can show up to 21 days from exposure. People are also urged to check their records to see if they are vaccinated or ever have had the measles before. LA Public Health also says there are other locations of possible exposure. They're on your screen right here, but it includes LAX, Universal Studios, TCL Chinese Theater, Madame Tussauds, the original Farmers Market, and the Santa Monica Piers. You went a lot of places. Again, if you were at any of those locations on those dates, monitor yourself for those symptoms.
Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has completed 3 weeks of radiation to treat a malignant tumor on her pancreas.
As ABC's Mona Kassar Abdi reports, doctors say there is no evidence of the cancer remaining.
Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg has completed a 3-week course of cancer therapy. The radiation treatment began on August 5th to treat a tumor on her pancreas. The Supreme Court issuing a statement saying Justice Ginsburg tolerated the treatment well, and though she had to cancel her annual summer visit to Santa Fe, she continued to maintain an active schedule. In an interview last month with National Public Radio, she dismissed concerns about her health.
It was a senator, I think it was after the pancreatic cancer, who announced with great glee that I was going to be dead within 6 months. That senator, whose name I've forgotten, is now himself dead, and I am very much alive.
According to the court statement, the tumor was treated definitively and there is no evidence of disease elsewhere in the body. Justice Ginsburg considered a judicial workhorse, working throughout her previous cancer treatments in 1999 and again 10 years later. In January 2019, her recovery from surgery to remove cancerous lesions from her lungs forced her to miss oral arguments, but she continued to work from home. Ginsburg has become something of a pop icon. She was the focus of a documentary titled RBG after a nickname given to her by fans, and the 2018 film, quote, On the Basis of Sex, focusing on her push for equal rights.
Doors that were shut tight against us are now open. So, long term, I remain optimistic.
On social issues like civil rights, abortion, and separation of church and state, she's a consistent liberal, yet she has won the admiration of many conservatives for her grasp of the law and carefully considered opinions. Mona Kassar Abdi, ABC News, Washington.